Every Friday during Women's History Month, we're taking a look at how the coronavirus is affecting women in work. Women in this country lost more than 5 million jobs over the past year. Wow. Nearly 80% of those job losses have been in government, retail, education, and health services, and leisure and hospitality services. They all have mostly female workforces. Deborah Flanagan worked as a travel consultant, helping companies coordinate travel programs for their employees. And this is her story.
I've been in the travel industry for 12 years. I travel a lot, so it really was a good combination of the things that I enjoy doing.
When the pandemic hit, Deborah Flanagan knew her job was on the line. By April, the travel industry was decimated, and she was laid off.
A call came in, and based on what I had seen going on in the industry, and I knew kind of what the call was. It was just a little bit of shock, but it was mostly expected.
Flanagan's unemployment checks and her husband's income kept the family afloat.
So did you get all your homework done?
But she had to make some changes.
We just started cutting costs. I looked at utilities and tried to switch providers and do whatever we could to save a little bit. I kind of immediately got my resume together. There's nothing under travel consulting. It's been really hard. It comes up empty quite a bit. It's a really kind of dead market right now.
Deborah has now turned her attention to building a community newsletter because she doesn't know if or when she can ever return to the travel industry.
Going back into the industry is going to be a heck of a lot more competition. It's going to be a much harder climb back. The unknown, it's hard.
It is so hard. LinkedIn has been studying this issue for its series. It's called Conversations for Change. Carolyn Fairchild is editor-at-large of LinkedIn's global news team and joins us this morning. Carolyn, it's really good to see you. There are a lot of Deborah Flanagans out there. A lot of people are telling the same story. So what do you think employers need to do to keep women in the workforce?
Well, good morning, Gayle. I'm glad that you asked that question. The pandemic has had an outsized impact on the careers of tens of millions of professionals. What we're finding is that women, particularly women of color, are bearing the brunt of this crisis. There are 2.3 million Deborah Flanagans out there who are now not in the workforce. And what that means is that women's participation rate in the workforce right now is at its lowest rate since 1988. So if employers don't act now, don't think about flexible workplace policies, don't check in with the current women that they have in their workforce, we're risking decades of progress being erased from women in terms of what they've done in the workforce since 1988.
So, Carolyn, I want to talk about how we get women back into the workforce. So for people who have lost their job during this pandemic, how do they talk about that job loss and that gap in their resume when they go back out there on the market?
Sure. Particularly for women, career gaps have been something that have been stigmatized when it comes to returning to work. But the good thing about this pandemic is that that stigma has virtually gone away. We hear from hiring managers on LinkedIn who say they almost expect career gaps because of the devastating impact that this pandemic has had on the labor force. So walk in confident knowing that that's the case. Don't feel bad about it. Actually come in with a case for what you've done during this time, the skills that you've gained. Maybe you've taken courses that will help you with your next job, but really own the fact that this has been a hard time for everyone and know that you're not alone.
So, Carolyn, there's also a difficult moment people face when they're looking for a job, particularly looking for a long time and failing. At what point do people say, I need to change careers, not just keep trying to apply in the same area?
We have data from LinkedIn right now that's showing that women in particular right now, given just the devastating impact that the economy has had right now in industries where we see a lot of women. You mentioned some of those industries, travel, retail, food and beverage. These are industries that have more women than men in the workforce right now. And they're having to pivot and they're thinking about different career paths that they can go on. And I think that right now the name of the game is skills. How can you transfer your resume from just a job and an industry to the skills that you have so you can make that pivot into the industries that are booming?
You also say that it's all about storytelling. It's good to hear that employers aren't judging you if there's a career gap. Because when I was coming up, it was always said, you don't want to have a career gap. It doesn't look good, a timeout. So you say that it's about storytelling. What does that mean in getting a job? You have to sell yourself?
It means that we have to rethink how people think about their careers. So many people think, okay, it's my job title, it's the industry that I'm in. What we're seeing on LinkedIn in the new digital economy is that it's about your skills, transferable skills that you have. Let's just take Deborah, for example. The travel industry isn't a great place to be working right now, but her experience as a consultant, that can be transferred into e-commerce, it can be transferred into business sales. These are skills that she has that she can then say in her resume, paint it out as a story, as you just said, Gayle, in terms of getting her next opportunity.
All right, Carolyn Fairchild leading a very important conversation for us. Carolyn, thank you very much. We hope it works out for people who are listening.